Okay, it is, crap. It is 7:34 on January 25th. This will be the first of our tests. This is the pipe that has had the pipe plug in it since last night. This is on the other end of the ditch. I'll be able to show that to you. Wendy, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some baking soda in it so that you can see that it drops to the bottom and doesn't move. This indicates that we don't have any current flow. Basically, we don't have any leak around the pipe plug. I'm going to go over and put the dye in the ditch next. That'll be the next recording. Okay, we're coming up on the, we're walking across the lateral repair. I've plugged the discharge pipe. I plugged it at 6 o'clock last night. Surprisingly, the pipe has never quite filled. We have a low flow event. Here's our timestamp, 7:35. So it's a minute ago I put the baking soda in. I will put 1 gallon of red dye to the west, and I will put 1 gallon of red dye to the south, and then we'll track its movement just to prove that we have water flow. That'll be the next recording. Okay, I just dropped the 1 gallon of red dye. There you can see it, and you can see it progressing down the ditch. So we've got pretty good flow going on. This is the the west part of the ditch. I'll now go to the south part of the ditch. Okay, I just installed the dye in the south portion of the ditch. There's the empty container, there's the stake. That was the location point. As you can see, it's moving slower than what the west portion of the ditch is, but it's moving nonetheless. This portion of the ditch has always been slower moving. I've always suspected this area to be the primary failure point. I believe the road bed underneath the ditch, in particular right here, or the road underneath the pipe, particularly here, is completely riddled. And by virtue of reference, the failed concrete pipe is just about center of the ditch, right there, painted orange. As you can see, a much higher elevation than the new plastic ditch, which the dye has now reached from the western installation point. Next shot will be down at the beach. Oh, better do a timestamp on this. Timestamp is 7:39. Hope you can see that. 7:39 on the 25th. There we go. So about 4 minutes have elapsed since, about maybe 5 minutes since I put the baking soda in the ditch on the other side. Also of note, the dye that has reached the pipe, it should be noticed that it's not going in the pipe, but rather it's traveling to the sides of the pipe, which indicates that it is running along the bedding of the pipe. And we have had before in our dye tests the other area, the infiltration area where I added the baking soda, turn red with virtually no flow coming out of the pipe, and I suspect that is the bedding of the pipe itself. Okay, so it's 8:10. I think it was 8 or 7:39 when I took the last video, but again, you can see the rate of flow via that little ripple there, and you can see that it will not enter the pipe. It is only going around the pipe. And so the bedding on this pipe obviously conducts water, no surprise. This is where it is in relationship to the broken culvert. The water level does reach that height under heavy rains, and the bedding on that pipe is substantially worse than the bedding on this pipe. For comparative analysis, this is where, there's my There's my container. This is where I dropped the red dye in directly into the ditch. It too has clarified, but at a much lower rate. And the red has traveled, but again at a much lower rate and far less distance relative to the time involved. It stops right there. You can see that it is flowing, but it's not flowing very fast. And as I said before, I believe this is the primary failure area here. That's why we're not seeing any flow towards the culvert. It's flowing under the road. So no real surprise here. It's 9:05, and what do you know, we got red water in the infiltration gallery. We have no apparent flow. Well, strike that. We have flow going into the ditch. This is the exit to the bay. As you can see, the water's red. Now we'll go across the street, see if we still have that halo effect, or if in fact all the dye water is gone. It may in fact be gone by now. So if nothing else, that kind of proves out that we got absolute permeability around the pipe. Wouldn't matter if the pipe was broken or not. So here we are again. Now we can still see that we have very little coloring in the pipe itself. Most of it is traveling to both sides. The the southern dye has reached the pipe, and you can see it concentrating there, which is the side of the pipe. Hopefully the pipe itself shows up in the video. But yeah, there's no colored water in the pipe, and the water's traveling around the pipe.